we should have been using direct variation here, dividing y by x. Some of us were doing x by y, which is not what we should be doing, but I gave you credit if you did it that way because all of these other ones would have been different regardless. Unless you did inverse, then that was wrong. So if you did y divided by x, we got 5 divided by 1, which was 5, and 10 divided by 2, which was also 5. So C was our answer.
Wait, so you have to show our work for that one?
Yes.
It doesn't say that.
Correct. A lot of them don't say show your work, but you need to. For number 2, Dakota likes to play baseball. The more he plays, the less time he has for homework. What type of variation is this? This should have been inverse. If you put direct, that was wrong. I'm trying to do 2 things at the same time. Because one is going up and the other is going down. So anytime they are opposites, that is inverse. Unless it says the more he plays, that it wouldn't make sense in this case. But if it was more and more or less and less, that would be direct. Then you had a couple different ways to do this. Let's say you made this y and this x. That's not how I wanted to do it originally. It doesn't matter. I'll show you that both ways. It doesn't matter. But let's say if we made the amount of playing x and the amount of hours spent on homework y. Then if we're using inverse, we need to multiply these two numbers together to find k. And then use our k and our last number to find our answer. So in this case, this will be our x, this will be our y, so we would set this up, y equals 14 over 10, which would give us 1.4 hours. Some of you were putting 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is not the same. 1.4 hours is 1 hour and 24 minutes, not 40 minutes, so be careful there. If you wanted to figure out how many minutes that was exactly, you could figure out a top. 30 minutes would be 0.5, because that would be half. So it would have to be less than that. So somewhere between 20 and 30, you could play around with those numbers. But 24 divided by 60 gave you 0.4. So that would have been the exact amount. But if you just put 1.4 hours, I accepted that. If you did 1 hour and 24 minutes, I accepted that, but not an hour and 40 minutes. If you switch these variables, call this y, call this x, so this would then be y and this would then be x. The first part wouldn't matter, it wouldn't change, that would still be the same. The second part, however, would be 10 equals 14 over x. And then to solve for x, we can multiply x on both sides. And then divide. So either of these methods would have worked. What would have not worked is if you used direct, which would have been dividing 7 and 2, and then using y equals kx. So that would have not worked. But either of these would. So then your 3 points, if you get inverse, how you showed the work, and then your final answer with the label. Questions on any of that? So your test is going to be Monday. You're only getting 1 day to do it because really it's short. It's one objective. If you need more time, you'll have to come see me after school because we already just did our flex days. There is one other thing I have to tell you guys about. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing recommendations. You guys are going to be doing scheduling for next year. So I wanted you guys to see this. It's a little hard to see up here. There's a smaller version of that up there if you would like to come up to it and take a picture. But these are all the possible math classes throughout your high school. But you guys only have 2 options. You can go to regular geometry or advanced geometry. So I'm going to tell you some of the differences so that when you start to make your decision, when I recommend you for the next class, you have these things in mind. So kind of like advanced algebra 1 and regular algebra 1, advanced geometry moves faster. So if this class was already too fast for you, do not go to advanced geometry. If you are not doing all of your work, all of your Delta Math, all of your homework, all of the time, do not go to advanced geometry. Because the expectation is you're always doing all of your homework, all of the time. If this class was hard for you, or if you felt like you were always retaking to get passing scores, do not go to advanced geometry. Geometry is hard regardless. Making it advanced makes it even harder. So you need to understand all of those things. We're going to be talking one-on-one about recommendations, what I'm recommending you for, what you think you should go into, but have conversations with your parents about what they think, about what you think, about the things I just said, so that you can get other input. Also, if your end goal is like something AP at the end, then you may want to take the advanced track to get you further along. But if you take advanced geo next year, the likelihood of your senior year you getting to those is low unless you take this over the summer. So if you want to get to those advanced higher AP classes, you may have to take geometry over the summer.
Wait, can you take it over the spring or something?
I don't know if you can take that at the same time as advanced algebra 1. That's a counselor question. But geometry is the only math class I would recommend taking over the summer if you chose to do so. So think about where are you trying to end up, and there are more options down here. If you're not trying to end up down here, you may want to stick to regular geometry. If you're trying to end up somewhere AP, you may want to go to advanced geometry. Also think about the other things I said. Do we have any questions about any of that?
So for that, we have to tell counselor if we have if we can take advanced geometry during spring or something.
Yes, because you have to register through virtual Consilium or something. So yes, that's a counselor question.
Yeah, and spring is shorter than the summer, right?
I want to say it's the other way around, but I'm not entirely sure because I know it's a semester long and summer is 6 to 8 weeks long. I don't know if that's the same. Hang on.
If you take advanced geometry over the summer, what do you do when school starts? You just not take math?
No, you still take math. Your teacher over the summer would recommend you for the next course / your counselor. Depending on how you do, you would go to, if you take, also I don't know if advanced geo is a choice for over the summer, that's a counselor question also. But then you would go to one of these 3 classes. This is super fast. This is faster. This is even faster because this is 2 courses built into 1. So let's say you do really well here, you're probably going to be put here and it's going to go really fast, it's going to be really hard, you're going to have to do work every day. In and outside of class. Keep those things in mind. Or let's say you average C's, B's, C's, you might get put in algebra 2, not as fast, some of the same content, still hard, but math in general, as it builds, is. So you would still have to take a math regardless. Yes.
What's AMP?
That is the other course I teach. So it's like algebra 1.5. So maybe you didn't do well in algebra 1, you struggled, you have some missing concepts. So you get put in that class to build on your algebra 1 skills. That also leads to algebra 2 skills.
So it's between algebra 1 and geometry?
Say that one more time.
So between algebra 1 and geometry?
Not really, because you can go to APTA from geometry, but sometimes you can also go straight from algebra 1. So, yes, no, it depends. Other questions? Alright, so sometime in the next school week-ish, I'll be talking to you about what I think you should go to. If your choice is different than what my choice is, we can have a conversation. Think about everything I said, talk to your parents, talk to your counselors in between then, and then you'll be doing course recommendations or course choices soon. Right? So for the rest of the class, you can be working on your review, additional practice, Delta Math, retake work, but no phones yet.